On September 6th, 2022, two Twitlongers were uploaded by Sailor Magatron, a female Twitch streamer, and a female Jigglypuff player by the name of Shannon has alleged that Elegant, the best Luigi player in the world, has had a major drinking problem that has resulted in lots of toxic behaviors such as sexual misconduct, emotional manipulation, and also generally just being a burden to everyone who accompanies him going to Smash tournaments. There was also a third Twitlonger uploaded the following day by Elegant's ex-girlfriend Lori Pants, or just Lauren, that detailed their toxic relationship and goes into detail about how his drinking problem affected their relationship. I'm not going to go into everything these Twitlongers say because we'd probably be here for a long time, but I'll give you a rundown of a few examples listed in these Twitlongers of his problematic behavior in the past. Now, Sailor Magatron notes at the very start of her Twitlonger that unfortunately there was another incident that occurred that she feels like she cannot talk about yet because, quote, it's very fucking traumatic and I'm still recovering mentally and emotionally, and that she also doesn't want strangers to know about it since it's a very sensitive and severe topic. Now that's already very concerning, and I just want to say Sailor, Shannon, Lauren, or anybody else who has been affected by Elegant's toxic behavior, I just want to say that I'm very sorry that you had to go through this. I hope you take all the time you need to recover from the things you experienced and that you don't have to go through these things ever again. I sincerely hope that you guys are doing better now and that the Smash community does their due diligence in giving you guys the support you deserve and gives other victims of similar occurrences in the community the strength and support they need to come out with their stories and share their experiences so that we may one day become a safer place for women and underage players to participate in. For the record, Elegant has had no incidents with minors at all, but that was mostly in reference to other occurrences involved with minors that have taken place over the past couple years in the Smash community or at Smash tournaments. By the way, just a quick trigger warning for the things I'm about to talk about in this video. Some of the stories might get a little gross for you and they involve bodily fluids, since the majority of these stories are talking about a man who is intoxicated, and that also includes some potentially or actually predatory behavior. So if you're uncomfortable with watching or listening to stories that involve those things, then you might want to click away. The first incident that Sailor details is an incident that occurred during Genesis 2022 in which she describes going over to a big hangout with multiple groups of friends in a house where Elegant had seemingly too much to drink and began to be, quote, very touchy and grabby and overly affectionate with her, and that she immediately left to go hang out with a different group of people. She later noticed that he was slumped over and ran over to him out of concern and asked him if he was okay, but he couldn't respond back. She tries to make him drink some water and orders an Uber back to his hotel, in where she then had to carry him all over different floors of the hotel he was staying at, carrying him over her shoulder and trying his key card on every door since he couldn't recall what his room was. She eventually took him back to her room out of desperation until she got a hold of one of his roommates for his room number. She then says that he used the bathroom in her hotel room and pissed everywhere, and that her and a mutual friend had to help put his pants back on. Afterwards, they took him back to his room, and when Sailor spoke to his roommate, they told her that they also had to babysit him the night before, as it has become a bad habit for Elegant to get drunk and that this has been a very normal occurrence for him. The second incident Sailor describes occurs about 2 weeks later during Low Tide City, where her and Elegant actually decided to room together with 3 other people, including 2 other women besides her. Apparently they had planned this months before since the rooms were cheap, and I'm sure she only clarifies this since most people probably wouldn't have wanted to room with him after the previous incident that happened, but I'm sure she simply didn't want to cancel or find a different room because planning for an event like this takes a lot of time and money, so I'm sure she just didn't want to give that all up just because of Elegant. Anyway, she says that things started off pretty good and chill, but on that Friday evening, she went back to the room to get washed up and change for dinner. Elegant then comes into the room with his friend and a girl that Sailor didn't know at the time, and that they, quote, lay on my bed kind of cuddling. Naturally, she got uncomfortable and upset because she was still, quote, recovering from that thing, and this was really inappropriate. They eventually leave and decided to stay at another friend's room that night, and on Sunday morning, as Sailor was getting ready, Elegant comes into the room and she confronted him about what happened on Friday and how it made her feel, and he got really pissed that she was having an issue with it and making it seem like she was crazy and twisting her words. She then proceeds to remind him of all of the things she had to endure involving him, and she then throws her chapstick down in her bag out of anger. He responds by saying that she was being violent and that she's scaring him because of what she just did, and afterwards Sailor just stopped the conversation after he said that. Then Sailor just puts on her headphones and continues to put on her makeup before he stands up in front of her a little bit later with his arms open, and when she asks him what he wants, he says that he was sorry and that it was not right of him to do that, and he asks for a hug to put this behind them. He goes to the tournament later and gets knocked out in pools an hour after his apology, and he comes back to the room seemingly very pissed. Sailor, of course, naturally curious about what he was angry about, asks him what was wrong, and she says that he was being very aggressive and that he scared her. He went out in losers and blamed her for his loss like a fucking gym. Now, if you're not familiar with Elegant in the Smash community, basically he has had a pretty long history of having some anger issues in his life, and he's very passionate about Smash and cares deeply about his performances. So I understand being a little upset with your performance, or maybe even being angry at the player or whoever. It's perfectly understandable to be upset at your performance. However, it's not okay to lash out at someone who is simply trying to help or understand what you're going through. There is absolutely no reason to snap at Sailor, especially since she had absolutely nothing to do with your loss. Right away, Sailor just packed her stuff to move to a friend's room out of fear, and that she couldn't stop crying and having anxiety attacks. By the way, I just want to say that all of the tweet longers or sources mentioned in this video will be in the description if you want to read them for yourself. Now, personally, I don't feel particularly comfortable with going into detail about Lauren's tweet longer or Elegant's ex-girlfriend's tweet longer about him, because she goes into great detail about their toxic relationship, and once again, I'm going to put that in the description if you're very curious about it. But basically, she goes over a lot of his issues with his alcohol abuse, anger issues, and emotional manipulation, as I stated earlier. As for Shannon, she explains that her and Elegant were very close friends before their incident occurred, and that for the most part their friendship was pretty normal in terms of a male-female friendship, and that she trusted him a lot before this happened. So in Shannon's tweet longer, she talks about the Saturday night and the following Sunday morning of Collision 2022, where her and Elegant booked a room together for the event, where she mentions that they booked a room with 2 queen beds that had plenty of room for 2 people. On that Saturday night, she explains that she got very drunk, drinking something that she never had before, and that she barely remembers a majority of the night. She says that she really only remembers brief moments where they had sex, and that she states that she woke up the next morning feeling really disgusted. She says that she only remembers small pieces of the night of like them having sex, like him being on top of her, and at the end something about him saying something to her in his bed. Now, in her tweet longer itself, it never specifically clarifies if Elegant himself was drunk that night at all, but Elegant actually does say in his own response in a tweet longer that he was also drunk that night as well, so they were both intoxicated when this happened. Anyways, she then says that after waking up, she just went to the bathroom and began sobbing loudly enough to wake up Elegant at the very least, and that she says that most of that Sunday morning is pretty much a blur to her, and that she couldn't help but cry even after going to the tournament venue, and proceeded to cry in the bathroom and was texting someone who knew Elegant. She says that she originally planned to say something at the time, but got scared and backed out, and that same fear was 100 times stronger while writing this tweet longer. She then says that Elegant had texted her just once to check up on her, and she says that it felt like it was a very uncaring thing to do given how he had seen her reaction that morning after waking up sobbing in the bathroom. After Elegant's attempt to check up on her, she basically just removed him as a friend and blocked him on all social medias, and I'm assuming her phone as well. The next time they interacted was that Sunday during Super Smash Con, and she talks about how Elegant got drunk that night and Shannon confronted him and told him that she loves him, but that he needs to work on his issues. Shannon says that he basically spent the majority of the night just like hanging all over her, being a little too physical, and just hugging her. She says that he kept asking over and over again if they were okay, and she just kept saying over and over again that it was okay, but that he needed to work on his issues. It all eventually got to a point where he asks her if she wants to go back to his hotel room, making it a point to mention that he was alone in his room, and she immediately says no. After being too physical with her all night, she begins to get very uncomfortable and had someone force him off of her after yelling for help, since he would not get off of her despite being told to multiple times. Shannon says that she basically cut him off completely after that, and that she believes that he's a good person who just has a bad habit and that he just needs help. It's just so unfair that so many women are put in a position like this where they get their trust betrayed completely by a guy who they thought they were genuinely safe with, and this type of thing just happens way too often, especially when it involves alcohol. This is going to be the last incident I go into detail about in this video before I give my full thoughts on the situation and how the abuse of alcohol has been a persistent problem in the Smash community. Elegant is not the only one. This last one actually comes from a third TwitLonger that was uploaded a day after Shannon, Sailor's, and Elegant's TwitLongers were posted, and sadly this last incident is maybe the worst one of them all. I do want to note that basically all of the TwitLongers I'm breaking down in this video all explicitly state that Elegant's behavior was usually fine, and that they all believed that he was a good guy for the most part, and that their experience with him was pretty normal until he began to drink too much in front of them. I'm not downplaying their experiences with Elegant at all. I'm only saying this because I don't want anyone who's watching this video to get the impression that Elegant is like some horrible person or like some criminal or something. He's just a person who has his issues that he needs to deal with and is a person whose actions have hurt people in the past. Please do not witch hunt him or go out of your way to send hate to him or anyone else mentioned in this video. Please, we do not endorse that shit at all. The final TwitLonger comes from KJet Shadow, who talks about a situation that transpired between her and Elegant about a year ago as the time of this recording. She clarifies at the very start of the TwitLonger that, quote, "So Elegant had admitted to wanting to get to know me better, which could have meant anything. Friends is what we were, and I had no plan of attack here. I wasn't into him, but enjoyed his friendship and company. He was a cool guy, I thought. I had no idea he had a crush on me or anything of the sorts, and honestly, I don't think he ever did. I think he was attracted to my looks, but nothing beyond that. Again, just an assumption." She says that Elegant had flown down to San Antonio, Texas, and that she thinks she helped him pay for an Airbnb, but that she's not too sure about it and that the memory is a bit fuzzy. She even says that she helped him find the Airbnb online and drove all the way to Austin to help pick him up from the airport. She then goes on to say that she was basically his escort for 4 days, and that they actually slept in the same Airbnb for like a night or two, and that nothing happened between them, and that they were both respectful of each other's boundaries. Point being, they were spending a decent amount of time together during this visit from Elegant. She asked her crew of Smash players to come and play some Smash at their apartment, and they did, and they eventually began to drink like a lot. She then says that she drove back at midnight to pick him up because the boys said that he was too drunk for him to stay there, so she picks him up and agrees to let him stay in her parents' house with her there, of course. And at this point, Elegant was drunk beyond consciousness, and she had to help him walk inside the house and put him to sleep on a couch. She also briefly mentions that she's actually had other Smash players come into her house and sleep there before, and nothing had ever happened and everything was fully respectful. For this next part of the TwitLonger, I'm just going to read directly from it so you can get a full picture of what happened. "At some point between 3 and 4 a.m. he crept into my room and crawled in bed with me. I didn't wake up at all. I have no idea what went down when I was sleeping, but my shorts were slightly pulled down, but my underwear was on. I have no clue what he did. I didn't wake up to him crawling in bed with me. I woke up to a warm tickle on my leg and realized he was next to me. He had his dick out and was touching my leg. He was pissing on me and all over my bed. It was aimed at me, on my leg while he was peeing. He was groaning too and touching it. It was all over me. I screamed and punched him in the face, and he didn't feel it. He was still drunk. I jumped out of my bed and started hysterically crying and shaking. I was so mad and so ready to throw hands at this guy." Jesus Christ. "I ran to the corner of my room and literally cradled myself. I was so angry I was just punching the wall. Respectfully, I wanted to smash his face in for this. Elegant sat up in my bed and had no idea what was happening. He was still incoherently drunk. His underwear was under my bed at the foot. I got them, chucked them at him, and kept yelling. I told him what he did, but he wasn't understanding. He was the drunkest I've ever seen someone. My mom heard me crying and peered in a crack in the door. I told her I was okay and nothing happened to my body that I knew of. She was going to call 911, but I promised it was okay. I was covered in his piss and I told her that I was going to shower in her bathroom. I got Elegant up, carried him to the bathroom, and he vomited and showered, I'm assuming. I threw him in the bathroom and told him not to come out until he was showered. I ran to my mom's room and showered. I scraped my skin so hard that it bled. I was so repulsed and angry I did this to myself and my family. How could I be this stupid? Letting a stranger in my home? I angrily got dressed and Elegant was still incoherent after the shower. I told him to put his clothes on and that I was taking him back to Austin a day early. I was done. He was lucky I didn't make him Uber to Austin. It's almost a 2-hour drive to the airport. He gained coherency in the car and cried the entire way. I angrily dropped him off and that was the end of it. I realized my mattress was ruined and that I was not going to sleep on that shit again. Elegant sent me $600 to get a new mattress. I spent $1,200 on a new one, but he sent me a solid $600. I was so over it and didn't care at that point. My family was disappointed in me for bringing him and trusting him. They sat me down and had a long talk with me. I won't ever do it again. What if he went in my little sister's room, my parents? If it was any of their rooms, it would have been a 911 call. You can be a binge drinker alcoholic and that's what it is. He needs help. I'm so sorry I didn't tell you guys sooner. I'm so sorry to the girls that got hurt. I feel like it's my fault for not telling everyone. He should have been removed from Smash long before. I didn't say anything and now this happened. Elegant is a good person when he thinks clearly, but he needs help when it comes to drinking. This incident is absolutely disgusting. My mother and I had to clean my room because it was literally on the walls and floor too. Sorry for not saying something sooner. Catch me straight swinging if another Smash guy touches me again. Remember ladies, it is absolutely okay to swing on a man if he's acting up. Now look, I'm gonna make this clear one last time. I will admit, yes, what you just heard and what I just read is very concerning, and I would completely understand if you just hate Elegant from here on out, you know, fuck him, he's an asshole, blah blah blah, whatever, fine, I understand that, okay? I don't think this is definitely the best portrait you could have gotten of Elegant, especially if this is your first time hearing about him. But do not demonize him. Don't go out of your way to send hate to him or anything like that. Please do not do anything of the sort. The purpose of this video is not to do that. The purpose of this video is to spread the message and talk about the problem that the Smash community has been facing about its top figureheads and just in general other people abusing alcohol. That is the point. Because again, Elegant is not the only example of this happening in the Smash community. Unfortunately, if you were around for the summer of 2020, then you would know that Twitter was basically a wildfire of top players and allegations being thrown at them for sexual misconduct, which usually involved the abuse of alcohol. And whether you agree about the innocence of any given individual, like let's say Anti or D1 as an example, then regardless of what you think of any of that, you cannot deny, I think we should all be able to agree that alcohol was and still is a major problem in the Smash community that really isn't being addressed. I just personally felt it was important to read out and break down those twitlongers because I think it's important for people to know these types of examples of people who have a bad alcohol addiction. We need to be able to see the signs very clearly, and this is why alcohol is so dangerous, because the people who have an addiction to alcohol tend to have very unpredictable behavior. So for the Smash players like Elegant who may have this issue, then you need to hold some self-accountability for your actions. If you're trying to go to a public event which may potentially have minors, actually no, will probably have minors because this is Smash, then you need to ask yourself, what's my limit with alcohol? Am I going to become a burden to the people around me? Am I going to be safe if I drink? Are the people around me going to be safe if I drink? If you are uncertain about any of those things, then just don't drink. And if you know you're going to drink, then just don't show up. It's better for everybody if you just don't. And the sad part about this situation is that Elegant friends beforehand actually tried to reach out to him, tell him that this is a significant problem that you need to deal with, and Elegant has since then apologized in his twitlonger, but unfortunately he actually failed to react or reply to KJet Shadow's twitlonger, the one we just read out now. He has not since replied to that one, and he has since then announced that he's going to take leave for all Smash tournaments. Okay, so a quick little fix here. I kind of misspoke when I was saying this. He didn't actually say that he would take leave of the Smash community or stop going to Smash tournaments. However, he did say that he would stop drinking at Smash events from now on in the twitlong. And he has actually been banned in 2 regions, I believe LA and another one. I'm not sure. I'll post it here, but I already know he's been banned in actually in Texas, I'm pretty sure, sorry. But I'll post them up here, the 2 regions he's already been banned in, which is a good start, because for people like Elegant, unfortunately, as much as we want to root for him, and you know, as much as he may be a good guy, at the end of the day, if the people who's attending the event is safety is in question, then it's very clear that he needs to be banned, which he has been so far, not for everywhere in the US, but in 2 regions. So this is a good start. And look, I gotta admit, I'm pretty disappointed, man, because actually when it comes to Elegant, I was actually a bit of a fan, like, at least in terms of his play and his Luigi, because he's a really good Luigi player. I was always rooting for him because he was a bit of an underdog. So I mean, given what happened in the summer of 2020, I kind of learned not to put my expectations of people I don't know so high. So while I'm not going to say I'm too surprised, because I know he's had anger issues in the past, and unfortunately alcohol, like I mentioned earlier, kind of just explode those emotions to like 1,000. I'm still genuinely just disappointed in him, and Elegant, if you're watching this, do better, go get some help, and come back when those issues have been fully resolved. Until then, you're a danger to the people around you in the Smash community, and do not come back until you have handled those issues along with your anger. And look, for the record, I know a lot of people in the Smash community are minors, so I just gotta say this real quick. Look, even if you're Look, even if you're a fan of Elegant, This does not mean you should just, be like, oh no, it's okay, bro, we forgive you. Like, no, if this doesn't involve you, then you don't have a say on that. Elegant's actions have clearly shown him to be unpredictable and very addicted to alcohol, and the Smash community should not have any bias towards people who exhibit this kind of behavior, because the Smash community has very clearly shown to have a lot of bias towards top figureheads in the community, and this type of behavior we just let it slide all the time, and this can't go on anymore. Something needs to change. So it may or may not be 8 a.m. the next day, and I may or may not have forgotten to cover Elegant's twit longer in response to the allegations in my original recording. So here I am. So in this twit longer, he only talks about Shannon's twit longer with the allegations about him. He doesn't talk about Lauren's allegations. He doesn't talk about KJet Shadow. He doesn't talk about any of those people. Only Shannon. And this twit longer was actually posted the same day as both Sailor and Shannon's twit longers, as well as Lauren's. So I don't really see why he didn't respond to them. Maybe he didn't see them beforehand. But it is currently the 23rd of September, the same month. So he has had plenty of time to respond to these allegations, these other twit longers that have been posted since then outside of Shannon's, and he still hasn't. Maybe he's too disappointed in himself. Maybe he's too busy holding accountability for himself. I have no idea. But Elegant, if you're watching this, then we need a proper response to these. Otherwise, you're not welcome back in the Smash community. And thankfully, in this twit longer, he actually does say that he wants people who may have been at these events to hold him accountable for his actions, and that he does feel regret for this. As an example, during KJ Shadow's twit longer, where she mentioned that he pissed on her bed, that he did in fact send her $600 for a new mattress, and that he cried the whole way on the way to the airport. So he does feel some sense of regret in the situation. He's not a complete monster or anything, but yeah, Elegant, you do need to be held accountable for your actions. And like I said, he has been banned in 2 other regions. That I think Texas and another one again. I don't remember right now. I'm sorry. I'll show it again. But yeah, to the brave victims that have since come forward with their stories about their unfortunate experiences in the Smash community, I just want to say thank you. Thanks to your bravery of being able to come out with your stories, we can now move forward as a community and find more ways to make the Smash community a safer place to inhabit, and we can then hopefully prevent these kinds of things from happening in the future.